Well, what a surprise. We have some Nintendo Switch 2 stuff to go over, and actually a brand new bundle as well releasing very soon for Nintendo Switch OLED. So we have a little bit of Switch news in here too, but we're going to be focusing heavily on the Nintendo Switch 2 stuff because we learned some potential new information here, including things like the Switch 2 could be releasing way the hell sooner than anyone else thinks, thanks to some information from a third-party company. That's kind of exciting. And then Kit and Krista had a podcast, and they brought someone on who worked on Nintendo's marketing and sales team and launched products and all this stuff, and really debunked a couple of things, then also threw in a few of their own words on what they feel like Nintendo's going to do based on their own knowledge from working directly in the Wii U and Switch era on what Nintendo is likely doing and when this damn thing is going to come out. In fact, we're gonna talk more about him after we go over the original. Do I call it an original? I don't know. This thing from a third-party company, because what this person's going to say contradicts what this third-party person says. So, look, we got a bunch to get into. I'm really excited about all of this. You guys are awesome and amazing, and I'm so glad you're here. If you're enjoying all this Nintendo Switch 2 content, I'd appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel. We're on our road to 150,000 subscribers. All right, let's stop beating around the damn bush. Last night, we had a podcast, and on that podcast, one of the co-hosts of the show, of the Nintendo Byte podcast, Thunderstash Gaming, was in communications with BenQ. Now, the communication with BenQ, who makes monitors and gaming accessories and all of that, was just about this dock accessory, which apparently will work with Nintendo Switch 2. And that's not really newsworthy for me. There's a ton of accessories out there, and now that the system's revealed, these accessories don't matter quite as much until we see them actually working with the final product, which will be after the product comes out. Then accessories become really important because we can actually test them with the Switch 2. That being said, they did say something. First off, in the emails exchanges with Thunderstash Gaming, they said that Nintendo Switch 2 is HDMI 2.1. That is really cool. We had not previously had HDMI 2.1 confirmed for Switch 2. We did kind of assume it would support it. It is pretty standard, but Nintendo Switch doesn't support it, so it was really interesting just to have that confirmed through BenQ. Again, this is assuming BenQ knows what they're talking about. It's not as if we know. But here's the thing, BenQ also said something else, and since I can't show you the email for proof because these are private communications, what I can do is play the clip from the podcast where Thunderstash Gaming is going over the email and what they had to say.
They replied, the Switch 2 has HDMI 2.1 output and includes an HDMI 2.1 port that supports both the Switch 2 or the Switch 1 and Switch 2. Since the Switch 2 is expected to launch in April, it would be helpful to mention in your review that it is compatible with it.
Now, do I think that a Nintendo Switch 2 is releasing in April? Absolutely not. I said that on the show. Do I think that maybe they're misspeaking and they really meant just the blowout was in April? Yeah, probably. But I don't know. That's not what they said. So, hey, if this thing gets announced on April 2nd as releasing at the end of April, well, BenQ's sources or whatever they're saying, like the way they said it, really felt like this was like common knowledge for some reason. So if it does happen, we can come back to this video, go back to that podcast and be like, damn, BenQ did accidentally leak, or maybe on purpose, when Nintendo Switch 2 is coming out. Again, I literally don't think it's April. We have all those Nintendo Switch 2 experiences and stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me. But hey, maybe, right? That's all we can say is maybe. Now, this is where we have to get into something that might be a little bit more credible, because this is from a former Nintendo employee known as Sean, who was on the Kit and Krista podcast and wanted to clear up a bunch of things about the Nintendo Switch 2 reports and rumors out there, as well as throw in his 2 cents that's probably highly credible based on his own experiences working on the very teams that decide when this stuff's going to happen, when's Nintendo going to release their products, and when this makes sense. So let's go ahead and get into some of these clips. The first one is, well, this one's going to be dealing with retailer listing prices and if these leaks are legit, and what, if anything, retailers may know and or when would they know. So let's go ahead. Let's play the clips. Let's let Sean do the talking.
Speaking of who knows what, a thing that's happening a lot now is like some retailer will have some listing like, oh, Switch 2, $400, and people will be like, oh, confirmed. Like,
Yeah.
What do the retailers know at this
Nothing.
point in the game?
Nothing.
Thank you.
Certainly
We wanted
not
to
price.
dispel that myth.
Certainly not price. Almost certainly not any kind of launch date other than maybe a quarter.
Yeah.
And yeah, it always makes me laugh, like to see these articles like, oh, well, Walmart Canada says the price is going to be this. I'm like, Walmart Canada, like the last people that are going to know anything about price. And yeah, like at the other company that I worked for, like the marketing team, like one of my accounts was Walmart, and there was a period where the team in Canada, like they were putting their thoughts out there, and the brand teams were like, Walmart Canada is leaking again, and it's like, dude, they're guessing. It's not leaking. Like, don't react to it, and like it's not a leak. It's just a guess.
Yeah.
But like, no, they don't have that information. There's no way that even like Target in the US would know anything. Nobody is going to know anything until like we'll know the launch date. Like when we all know the launch date, that's probably when the retailers are going to know the launch date.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe like a week or two in
April
advance of that,
2nd.
but like
April 2nd during that Nintendo Direct is when we will all know.
Collectively.
Collectively we'll know.
And I would imagine maybe March 27th the retailers will find out.
Yeah.
a
Just
random
set
date,
up their pre-orders and stuff.
yes, a couple days in advance of
Right.
the world knowing is when the retailers are going to know.
Now that's really interesting. I kind of had a feeling that when we see all these price points at retailers, they really don't know anything, but it turns out like there is actually a point in time when they do, and it would just be shortly before it's announced publicly, within a week or two. So that actually makes a ton of sense. Just like it would make sense if they happen to know a general quarter just through phone calls and communications with companies, so they can maybe make sure like they're not laying a bunch of employees off at a time that they're going to need them, or whatever the case might be. Now, I'm glancing over here at my notes because this next point, this is very, very interesting. This has to do with when the Switch 2 could come out. Now, obviously, we just had that little thing earlier in this video about April. I'm not putting a lot of stock in that. But I will put some stock in a person who worked directly with Nintendo on releasing products and knows how they think. So let's go ahead and see what Sean had to say about when he feels the best time is to drop Nintendo Switch 2.
They're going to want they're going to want the system to be out before the end of the summer.
Yeah.
I would say probably like, if it were me, I would say at the start of the summer.
That's what I thought too.
End of school year, so you got kids in school talking about what they're excited for the summer, making plans to, play Mario Kart and do all of that type of stuff. But I think we'll see a June launch.
Well, would you look at that? He's pretty much in agreement with like that June time period and no later than end of summer. He thinks it doesn't make sense to wait till the holidays. But hey, obviously none of this is official information. He's just putting his best educated guess out there. But his educated guess is way better than mine and anyone else's because he actually worked with Nintendo on releasing products, right? So that's pretty interesting. The last thing is he talks about the price point. And this, again, comes from internal conversations and just how Nintendo generally feels about their products. So what did he have to say about the price point? Well, have a listen.
On price, again, a lot of people have kind of rallied around this $400 price point of like, yeah, this feels like a realistic thing that would work in a lot of different ways. I'm going to ask you kind of a different question. It's like, what do you think is like the upper boundary of where Nintendo would really be pushing its luck based on what we've seen this hardware to be? And they've already acknowledged the Nintendo customer is more price conscious, more family oriented and all of that.
I can't imagine it being too much more than 400. I think just with their audience, maybe 450, I would say like, is probably the highest that I can imagine. That's without knowing like what type of tech is built into it. But
yeah, $399, no higher than $449. Pretty much right at what we've been hearing. And again, he's not leaking anything. He doesn't have any direct knowledge. He just thinks there's no way in hell Nintendo even going to think about $499. And he doesn't really seem too convinced they're going to go at $449. He's kind of thinking, I don't know. In my opinion, maybe he's thinking, hey, if they have multiple models and one has like a terabyte of storage, okay, maybe that would be $449 or something like that. He also said in the show that he thinks there's just no way in hell they're going with an OLED screen right now because, again, the way Nintendo works, that is an easy launch cost-cutting measure to get the launch price down. So why would you not get rid of the OLED just to make this thing more affordable? Because Nintendo does care about affordability for their consumers, yet still being profitable. It is very important that Nintendo is profitable, but also has a product that's affordable that the consumer thinks is a good value. So yeah, $399 to me is probably the sweet point. It's where I've been resting for a long time. But what the hell do I know, right? This Sean guy worked directly at Nintendo. Now, I did say we have one piece of non-Switch 2 news to get to, and that is a brand new bundle that is seemingly coming for Mario's 40th anniversary. We found this out thanks to Bill Kun. Bill Kun over here is literally the most reliable human in the world when it comes to video game bundle launches and stuff like that. He seemingly gets all the inside info on when stuff's hitting retailers and when stuff's going to be announced. So it says, upcoming release before the Switch 2 Direct, a new bundle will be released soon in North America, and it includes a Switch OLED blue/red console, which I find interesting because the mock-up here is the white one, but whatever. Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is just a voucher, so digital copy, and 3 months of NSO subscription. And it's going to be $349.99 in the United States and $449.99 in Canada. Now, he does say that it's going to be announced around February 27th, not necessarily on February 27th. I find that interesting because February 27th is the Pokemon Presents. Because, yes, let's just throw that out there right now. Here you go. Pokemon announced a Pokemon Presents for the 27th. So that is also some hot Switch news for you right there. Pokemon Legends EA. So yeah, I don't think they're going to announce this bundle on Pokemon Presents Day. Maybe the day after on the 28th. Maybe the day before. And I feel like, and this is just a guess, it's going to come out on Mario Day, March 10th. That's my prediction. I could be wrong, but hey, it is the 40th anniversary of Mario. This is probably part of that 40th anniversary thing. And so between this and obviously we have the Pokemon Presents coming as well, which I'm really excited about because hello, Legends EA. We should actually see the game. How much of the game we see? Do we get a release date? None of that I know, but I'm pretty confident we're seeing Legends EA next week as well. So there you go. That is the news today, both the Switch 2 stuff and, hey, even some things going on with Nintendo Switch itself. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I am Nathaniel Robochance from Nintendo Prime, and as always, I'll catch you guys in the next video.